Hey, what's going on, everyone? So today I want to talk about PowerShell Remoting, and it's an awesome tool for managing your Windows devices in a traditional Microsoft Active Directory environment. And actually, with PowerShell Core, you can now do a similar PowerShell Remoting ability into Mac devices and Linux devices as well, but that is a different topic. Probably do a video of that in the future. Today, though, is just traditional PowerShell remoting. And so what that allows us to do is it allows us to use PowerShell to remotely connect to other Windows devices. So Windows 10, Windows 7, Windows Server devices, and we can execute commands. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so the way that we're going to turn on PowerShell remoting is via group policy. So what we'll do here is I'm going to go into my OU where I have my computers at. I'm going to right click, create a GPO. I'm going to name this enable PowerShell remoting. Now you can go ahead and name that whatever you want. Okay, so now we're going to right click on our newly created GPO, go to edit. So to enable this PowerShell remoting, what we're going to first do is go from computer to administrative templates to Windows components, down to Windows Remote Management, down to Windows RM Service, and then the setting right here, allow remote server management through WinRM. Go ahead and double click that. Now we're going to enable it. And then for here, the IPv4 filter and 6 filter, what this means is we can essentially allow Windows PowerShell remoting only from like certain IPs or a range of IPs. Right now, I don't really care about that. This is just a demo. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is put a star in here to essentially allow PowerShell remoting to work from any IP range. Click apply, hit OK. So we just enabled Windows Remote Management using the WinRM service. Now the next thing we'll want to do is turn on the service on the endpoints. In order to turn on the service, we're going to scroll back up here. Under Computer Configuration, we'll go to Windows Settings, Security Settings, System Services. Click on that and then scroll on down until you find the Windows Remote Management instrumentation right here. So we double clicked on that. We're going to define the setting, select service startup mode, automatic. So what that means is when the computer turns on, this service is automatically going to be running. And now if this service is not running, then PowerShell remoting is not going to work. So hit apply, hit OK. Now we're done with group policy. So we just created a group policy that allows the WinRM service to work on our endpoints. We're enabling that service that's going to enable PowerShell remoting between the endpoints. So let's talk about what that looks like. So the authentication that happens between the computers when we do PowerShell remoting, that authentication is going to occur using Kerberos. Now, if Kerberos isn't available, not turned on, etc., then it's going to default and use NTLM. Now, the traffic after that authentication occurs is going to all be encrypted with a per session AES 256 key. And then additionally, you want to ensure that if you go through a firewall at all, you want to make sure that you enable the Windows RM service to go through that firewall. Otherwise, the traffic's just going to be blocked. Now, in my environment, I don't have the firewall turned on right now, so I didn't bother putting that into the group policy, but you'll want to make sure that you do that if you are using a firewall. All right, so let's go ahead and jump back into the endpoints, and we'll show you what this PowerShell remoting actually can do. So let's quickly talk about what the group policy is doing. If we open up services and we go to Windows Remote Management, we can see that the current status is not running. Startup type is manual. So if you saw my previous video on group policy, I talked about how systems will check in and download the latest group policy and make any changes needed every 90 minutes plus or minus 30 minutes. But for the sake of the demo, we're going to go ahead and run a GP update /force. Okay, that's done here. So let's go back to services and we can go ahead and refresh it. And we can see that Windows Remote Management is now running. Startup type is automatic. So this is on one system. We'll want to go ahead and do the same on our other system. All right, once both systems have been updated with the group policy, what we'll do is we're going to open up PowerShell. Now, one thing I should mention is that in order to PowerShell remote into another system, you actually have to be an administrator on that system for this to work. Jay Snow is a local administrator because he is a member of this local admins group, which is a member of administrators. So the way that we PowerShell remote into this second system is with this command. Go ahead and click on enter, and we're in. So you can verify, we can type in hostname. We can see that we are in fact on that second system. Now let's talk about why this is useful, why PowerShell remoting is useful. What can we do? Essentially anything that we can do in PowerShell, we can do on the second system. So for example, let's say that we're going to add a user into, I don't know, the remote desktops group on this second system. So for example, we can run this command. Add -local group member -member, so the name of the person you want to add. In this case, I'm adding a domain user. Add them to the group remote desktop users. There we go. Got to put it in quotes. So did this work? Well, we can double check. We can do get -local group member actually, and then do -group, and then the same thing, remote desktop users, and we can see that the user was successfully added. So what does this look like on the other endpoint? Let's go into the remote desktop users group, and we can see that A*Stark was successfully added via PowerShell remoting. Now, let's say we want to remove them. We can go ahead and do remove local group member. Okay, so if we go up and do the get group member, we can see that no one is in that group anymore. We can go and verify this on the endpoint. Let's reopen the group, and we can see that A*Stark is no longer added to this group. All right, so that's PowerShell remoting, and really that's just one example that you can do. Think about the possibilities here is maybe you have a ton of systems that you need to get information on. You need to pull service information. You need to manage local groups. You can run a script with PowerShell remoting and now remotely manage these, 10, hundreds, thousands of computers all at once, all on the back end without any interaction to the end user. So I appreciate you watching. Let me know in the comments if you liked what you saw, if you'd like to see more of this, anything else that you may want to see, just let me know. Looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks.